Good evening, Professor McGonagall. How was your holiday?
It was rather uneventful. I spent most of my time writing articles for the Daily Prophet. What about your holiday, miss? She paused, searching her memories for the student's name.
It's Mr. Anubi. Don't you remember me?
Ah, yes, I do apologize. How have you been? I didn't think I'd see you back in Hogwarts after your graduation 2 years ago.
Yeah, I've been all right.
May I ask why you have come back? You've graduated and are an adult. Isn't it time for you to move on?
Yeah, I was thinking the same, but then I remember the good times I had at Hogwarts.
A sentimental fool, just like Albus, she muttered under her breath before addressing you again, this time with a less disdainful look. I suppose there's no harm in indulging in some nostalgia for old times' sake, hmm?
Yeah, I love Hogwarts more than my home.
It's true that Hogwarts tends to grow on people, no? It's more effective than those illegal love potions that so many young students seem to use at times. She smirked slightly.
You ever used a love potion, back in the day?
Minerva burst out laughing at the question. Of course not. I'd rather bite my tongue off than use such a horrid thing to manipulate another's heart. Besides, I think the love between partners is so much more beautiful and romantic when it's the product of a long, gradual development instead of a forced and artificial result of some potion.
Yeah, I agree. I remember the time when Ron Weasley he ate a bunch of chocolates with a love potion in them.
Ah, yes, poor Weasley. That was a rather amusing incident. I felt somewhat sorry for him. He had no idea what the chocolates were doing to him.
Yeah, I felt sad, but it was quite funny, wasn't it?
Just a little bit. And what made it even more entertaining was the little scene between him and Romilda Vane. I had to control myself not to burst into a fit of giggles.
Don't you think love potions should be forbidden in Hogwarts?
Ah, I have tried to get them banned. However, the Board of Governors has refused to listen to my proposal. They claim that love potions are useful for experimenting in potions class, and that they also bring in a considerable amount of income at Valentine's Day. I have been told to simply trust the students not to misuse them, which is the most ridiculous piece of advice I have ever received.
Yes, of course, it's about the money.
What else could it be? She said with a scoff, rolling her eyes slightly. The board just wants to line their already full pockets. It's truly shameful. I wish I could do more, but the governors refuse to listen to a mere professor.
Yeah, but you're a great professor. You're the best at Hogwarts.
Why, thank you. She looked somewhat pleased, although she did her best not to get flustered so easily. Instead, she tried to be more formal and composed. Yes, I know I am a rather proficient professor. I still consider myself to be the favorite of some of my former students. There was a hint of pride in her voice now.
You got any favorite students?
Oh, I do have a soft spot for some, though I certainly have favorites from the past and from the present. She thought for a few moments, reminiscing about her long history as a professor. One of my favorite students from the past was Lily Potter. She was very hardworking and talented, just like her son. And on the other hand, one of my favorite students at this moment is a young Ravenclaw named Harper Williams. A true gem, that girl.
Yeah, I heard great things about Lily from Harry.
Yes, I'm not surprised. I've seen the fond way he talks about his parents. He certainly is very proud of being their only son. She had a small smile as she thought about the Potter family. It was evident that she had a deep respect for James and Lily.
Yeah, James and Lily were amazing people.
They truly were. Even back when they were at Hogwarts, they never stopped supporting me and my decisions. James and I often butted heads, but I always appreciated his unwavering loyalty. She chuckled slightly, feeling a pang of nostalgia for the old days.
Harry also told me that Professor Snape really cared about Lily.
That made her expression darken for a few moments. Her expression hardened at the sound of Snape's name, and it was evident she harbored a deep distaste for the late potions teacher. Yes, he did. He was in love with her, in fact. She said in a cold tone and with bitterness in her voice.
Yeah, in the beginning I really hated Professor Snape, but Harry told me that Snape gave the tears so Harry could look at the pensive, and he told me like at the end of the day Professor Snape was actually the good guy.
It wasn't a surprise that you hated Severus. He did behave atrociously with his students. But at the mention of him being a good guy, Minerva looked outraged for a moment. Of course Harry would say that. He's biased, after all. He loves to feel sorry for the man. Trust me, Severus didn't have an ounce of good in him. He may have been on our side in the battle, but that doesn't change the fact that he was a vile man.
Don't we all do bad things?
Yes, everyone is capable of committing mistakes, she said, her expression softening a bit. However, Severus didn't just make a mistake. The things he did, he was awful to many people. He was a bully to his students, a nasty person to the staff, and a true menace to Lily. She added the last part with a bitter tone, her jaw clenching slightly.
Yeah, but he did all the bad for the good of the people.
To that she sighed and ran a hand over her face tiredly. Then she gave you a piercing look and spoke in a lower tone. That's a noble sentiment, but it doesn't erase the pain Severus caused to so many people. He may have helped the wizarding world with the Dark Lord, but that doesn't mean his actions are forgiven. Some things can't be erased, no matter what someone does after. He might have helped us during the war, but he was still a terrible person.
At the end of the day, after all the darkness he went through, he got to see the light. That's what matters.
Minerva was silent for a few moments, pondering what you had said. She was not one to change her mind so easily when it came to a topic that she held so strongly, but your words made her think a little. Perhaps you are right. Maybe he did earn his moment of peace in the end. But I still don't want to have a good opinion of him.
Yeah, I understand. And the way you two fought and battled, that was crazy.
Ah, yes, those clashes with Severus, they were indeed wild. We both had a lot of disagreements, to say the least. She let out a small sigh, remembering the countless arguments she had had with Snape.
Yeah, but not only the arguments, duels. You had a duel with him, remember?
Oh yes, I remember those dueling days. A hint of a smirk tugged at the corners of her lips, her eyes sparkling with reminiscence. Those duels with Severus were some of the most thrilling bouts I've ever had. He wasn't so bad at magic, surprisingly. I remember some of those clashes lasting a long time, and it was usually quite exhausting.
Yeah, you're still a way better witch than he is a wizard, because when you two battled, he knew you was way better. That's why he flee through the window.
A soft chuckle escaped her at the memory of that particular duel you was mentioning. A duel that she still considered one of her most memorable. Yes, that's right. I do fondly remember the look on his face when he saw that I was overpowering him, forcing him to find a way to flee. He didn't like that at all, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I know you don't like Snape, but I know someone else who you despise.
I have quite a few people I despise, she said with a scoff, an edge of disdain in her voice. So you will have to be more specific. Who exactly are you referring to?
That bitch Dolores, of course. Excuse my French.
At the mention of her name, Minerva felt a wave of strong dislike. Her expression darkened and her jaw tightened once more. Ah yes, Dolores Umbridge. There is no person in this world that I detest more. I loathe her with every fibre of my being.
Yeah, she was actually the worst of them all.
Minerva clenched her fists, practically spitting out the next words as she continued to express her anger towards the woman. Yes, she was. I have never met a person so vile, so cruel and sadistic as Umbridge. She was truly evil.
Yeah, but good thing the Centaurus token Harry told me. I couldn't stop laughing when he told me.
Despite her hatred for Umbridge, Minerva couldn't help but let out a scoff that bordered on a chuckle when you mentioned the centaurs. Yes, that was truly a unique punishment. If there's something I will eternally be grateful to those creatures for, it's how they treated our lovely Dolores.
Earlier, you mentioned that you was writing for the Daily Prophet. What is it about, if you don't mind me asking?
Ah, yes, I should have known you would ask about that. She let out a small sigh, but did not seem annoyed by the question. Well, I've been writing a series of articles that discuss some of the most memorable experiences I've had as a teacher here at Hogwarts. I thought it would be a pleasant activity to keep my mind busy during the holidays.
Seems really interesting. and I'm really curious, really curious, what is your favorite and most valuable memory or memories at Hogwarts?
At your question, a small, almost fond smile appeared on her face, her eyes getting that slightly nostalgic look. She seemed to be taking a trip back in time, remembering the years gone by. Ah, I have so many. So many favorite memories at Hogwarts. It's difficult to just pick one if I'm honest. She thought for a few moments, trying to think of which one she considered the most special and valuable to her.
Yeah, it's hard to pick one because you have a lot of them.
Minerva fell silent for a moment before letting out a nostalgic sigh. Her expression softened, her voice taking a hint of sweetness. I suppose the memory I remember the most fondly would be the first time I ever led a transfiguration class. It was such a powerful moment. Seeing all those students in front of me, eager to learn and to absorb new knowledge, was a moment that really filled my heart with pride. She chuckled quietly, as if she could perfectly remember that first day of class.
Ah, yes, you're a great teacher. I remember when I was in class and you were teaching Vera Verto, and Ron his wand was broken. So yeah, you remember that?
Minerva chuckled lightly as the memory came back to her. Ah, yes, that little accident. How could I forget it? She said with an amused tone. She could remember vividly the look of horror on your young face when your wand snapped in half while you tried unsuccessfully to cast the spell.
Yeah, a broken wand is really dangerous, isn't it?
She nodded at your question, her expression and tone turning a bit more serious as she spoke. Yes, a broken wand can be quite dangerous. Not only does it make it much more difficult to perform magic, but it can also be unstable and unpredictable, and that can lead to some unwanted effects. That's why we always warn students to take good care of their wands.
Is it possible to repair one?
It is possible to repair a broken wand, yes. She explained, her tone taking on a knowledgeable air. There are many different methods to do so, although it can be a rather difficult and complicated process. However, it can be done with the help of a skilled wand maker like Ollivander.
Yeah, I told Ronald Weasley he had to go to Ollivander, but he told me, no, I got some duct tape.
That made Minerva's lips twitch in slight amusement at your words. She shook her head in disbelief. Ah, Weasley, how I am not surprised that his solution was to use duct tape to solve that problem.
Yeah, I told him, but he didn't listen. Afterwards, at Hogwarts, he tried to cast a spell, but it backfired, and he was eating slugs were coming out of his stomach.
At the mention of that particular incident, Minerva couldn't help but let out a scoff and roll her eyes. Yes, I do remember that event quite well. Weasley was never one to listen to good advice. The result was rather disgusting, to put it mildly.
Yeah, I do get it why he did it. He was trying to protect Hermione from, Malfoy.
Yes, his intentions were admirable, although his solution was rather foolish. He should have known that attempting to cast a spell on a broken wand was quite a dangerous maneuver.
About Malfoy, what do you think about him?
At the mention of Draco Malfoy, Minerva's expression darkened a little. Her dislike for the boy was very clear. Mr. Malfoy was a difficult student. She started in a somewhat derisive tone, though she did try to keep her disdain somewhat hidden. He was spoiled, arrogant, and often acted like he was more important than the others. He would cause trouble, and his attitude was often unpleasant.
Yeah, but, it's not his fault, I think, because it's all because, the parents.
Indeed, I'm aware that his parents' influence and upbringing played a large role in shaping him into the person he was. That's why I cannot blame him entirely. Minerva conceded, her expression softening a bit as she took into account Malfoy's situation.
Did you know his father, Lucius, tried to kill Dobby? When I heard that, I really wanted to Avada Kedavra him, but we don't do that.
Minerva's jaw clenched at the mention of Lucius Malfoy. She had never had any affection for the man, and hearing about his attempt against Dobby's life only reinforced that disdain. Yes, I'm aware of Lucius' actions. He had always proven to be quite ruthless and cruel, so it doesn't surprise me that he would make an attempt against a house elf.
What actually happened with Hogwarts after the war.
Minerva sighed as she began to recount the aftermath of the war at Hogwarts. After the battle, the school was left in a rather chaotic state. There were many injured, and the damage to the castle was extensive. The memories of the Battle of Hogwarts still brought a sense of melancholy to her heart. She had to take a moment to clear her throat before continuing. It took months and months of repair and reconstruction to bring Hogwarts back to its former glory.
Did you go back to be a teacher, or did you retire?
A small, sad smile appeared on her face at the question. Of course I went back. How could I ever abandon Hogwarts after everything that happened, she said, with a mixture of determination and melancholy. To her, Hogwarts was her home. It had been a part of her life for so long. The thought of leaving it was unimaginable.
Yeah, Hogwarts really makes me happy, and it makes you happy too, the way you talk about it. It makes you happy, like, that spell, locomotive.
Hogwarts is not just a school to me, it's my home, my sanctuary, she said in a softer tone. Her voice took on a hint of nostalgia, reminiscing about the years she spent at the castle. Hogwarts has given me so much, and it's a place where I feel truly happy. It's not just a collection of walls, It's a place full of memories, of laughter, of friendship.
Yeah, you're right. I had the best time at Hogwarts, besides the war and all.
Minerva nodded in agreement, her expression taking on a bittersweet look as she thought about those troubled times. Yes, the war cast a dark shadow over our time at Hogwarts, I can't deny that. But if I'm being honest, I still consider my years there to be some of the best of my life, in spite of everything that happened.
Yeah, I agree. Those were the best years of my life.
Minerva smiled gently in response to your words, understanding perfectly what you meant. Her own memories of those years were filled with both fond and sorrowful moments. The war had taken a toll on everyone, but she did cherish the times spent at Hogwarts. Yes, there's something special about this castle, isn't there?
Can you tell me one more favorite moment?
Minerva chuckled softly, a warm smile appearing on her face as she thought of another of her favorite memories. Ah, there are so many, but a moment that sticks out in my mind would be the final Quidditch match of the year, Gryffindor versus Slytherin.
Was it the match with the Dementors, where Harry fell out of the sky, and Dumbledore saved him with the Arresto Momentum?
Minerva laughed, remembering all the events of that particular match. Yes, you're correct. That match holds a special place in my heart, although I must admit it was quite a nerve-wracking experience. Seeing Harry fall from that height. Oh, I still shudder at the memory. I don't think I've ever been so terrified in my life.
Yeah, I agree. The way I saw Harry fall, that was I was really in shock. But yeah, good thing Dumbledore saved him.
She chuckled at the memory, her mind travelling back to that moment when Dumbledore had swooped in to save Harry. Yes, indeed. Dumbledore's magical skills and timing were truly remarkable. I remember how he soared through the air, almost as if it were the most normal thing in the world. It was quite impressive, albeit a bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, he was the greatest wizard of all time.
Minerva nodded, her expression taking on a pensive look as she thought about Dumbledore. A mix of sadness and admiration crossed her features. Indeed, he was. Dumbledore was an extraordinary wizard, and his wisdom, bravery, and kindness will forever be remembered.
Yeah, he was the greatest wizard of the light side. And then you have, Voldemort was also great, but the most terrible person from the dark side.
Minerva's nostrils flared, her eyes taking on a steely look at the thought of Voldemort. Her voice held an edge of disgust as she replied, Voldemort, yes, he was the worst of them all. A cold, murderous and ruthless man, who only caused suffering wherever he went. He brought nothing but death and pain to the wizarding world.
You teach them, right? You were his teacher?
Yes, I was one of his teachers at Hogwarts. She confirmed, her expression turning into a slight grimace at the memory. It was a difficult experience, to say the least. Even as a student, Voldemort showed signs of his dark nature. It was quite unsettling, to be honest.
Oh, so there were already signs, but did you know that he was gonna become the darkest wizard in the world?
Minerva nodded, her expression hardening as she reflected on those early days. Her gaze became intense, haunted by the weight of foresight. Yes, even then there were warning signs. It was quite clear that young Tom Riddle was different from the other students. His cold, manipulative nature was very evident, and his thirst for power was palpable.
Yeah, I agree. At the end, he died, but do you think there is a way he could come back, or is it over?
Minerva thought for a moment, her expression becoming quite serious. Well, as far as I'm aware, Voldemort's death was the end of him. I don't believe there's a way for him to come back. He was defeated, and his soul was completely destroyed. However, it's always difficult to completely rule out the possibility of the unknown. In magic, it's not always a good idea to underestimate the unexpected.
Yeah, so I think he's officially gone, but there will always be someone who is even darker than him.
Minerva nodded in agreement, her expression becoming more wary. Yes, unfortunately, that's the nature of darkness, isn't it? There will always be someone willing to take up the reins and continue the cycle of destruction.
Do you got another favorite moment? I just love the way how you talk and how you tell the stories you've been through.
Minerva chuckled at your words, pleased that you were enjoying her stories. Her face lit up with a smile as another memory came to mind. Ah, another favorite moment, of course. She paused for a moment, as if reliving the memory in her mind. Her tone became warmer and softer. There was that one time when Pomona Sprout accidentally turned the entire Great Hall into an enormous jungle.
Really? What did you guys do to remove it? Did you use the spell Incendio to burn it all?
Minerva laughed lightly at the memory, her eyes sparkling with amusement. Yes, it was quite a strange turn of events. Pomona had created an experimental fertilizer that she was testing on some plants, and let's just say it had some unexpected results. The Great Hall was transformed into a dense jungle within minutes. We had to use several powerful spells to reverse the effect, including a slightly modified incendio to reduce the enormous amount of vegetation. Took a while to restore the hall back to normal.
You say a modified spell. How do you do that? I haven't learned that in Hogwarts.
Minerva smiled, happy to explain the concept. Ah, well, as you know, magic is not fixed or set in stone. It can be changed and adapted based on the needs of the caster. A modified spell is one that has been altered to change or improve its effect. For example, the standard Incendio spell is a simple fire-making spell. But with some modifications, it can be altered to create a more powerful sustained fire or even an explosion as needed.
So you can modify it. I also know you can make your own spells. Is that right? I heard of one spell that someone created.
Minerva nodded, confirming your understanding. Yes, that's correct. In magic, one can also create entirely new spells. The process is quite complex, and it requires a thorough understanding of the fundamentals of magic, as well as a good deal of time and research. As for the spell you mentioned, there have been many new spells developed by witches and wizards over the years. Do you happen to know the name?
Yeah, Sectum Sempra.
Minerva's expression darkened slightly at the mention of the name. Ah, Sectum Sempra. Yes, a dark and dangerous spell. It was indeed created by someone, Severus Snape to be exact. It is a rather nasty spell that slices its victims, leaving them in a rather bloody mess.
Can you tell me more about the process of making your own spell? Like, do you know how he made it, or do you know how those spells are made?
Well, the process of creating a new spell typically involves a few steps. First, you need to have a clear idea of what you want the spell to do. That requires a good understanding of the principles of magic and the desired effect you want to achieve. Once you have that idea, you have to research existing magic and spells, and try to find any connections and patterns that might help you in your creation. Some spells are inspired by existing spells, but have an altered effect or a unique process.
That's a really interesting topic.
Indeed, creating new spells is an interesting and challenging process. It requires a deep understanding of magic and its principles, as well as a good amount of creativity and inspiration. Not many wizards and witches can claim to have created a new spell.
I have a serious question.
Hearing the serious tone in your voice, Minerva looked at you, a small yet concerned expression on her face. Of course, go ahead. Ask me your serious question.
After all these years at Hogwarts, nobody has ever mentioned, God.
Minerva's expression remained soft as she considered your question. You're right, it's not a topic that comes up often at Hogwarts. The focus here is more on magic and spells, but it's true, we don't talk much about religion.
Why is that, exactly?
Minerva let out a small sigh, her gaze becoming thoughtful. Well, Hogwarts is a school of magic, dedicated to the study and practice of the magical arts. Religion tends to be a rather personal and sometimes controversial topic. Hogwarts as a community believes in respecting the beliefs of all its members and encouraging unity. We have students from all walks of life and different backgrounds, and everyone is free to practice their own religion if they choose to. But we don't bring much attention to it to avoid potential conflicts or controversies.
Yeah, I understand that if there was just one religion, there wouldn't be all these wars in the world.
Minerva nodded in agreement. Her expression became a bit more serious. That's true. History has shown us that when a single religion dominates, it often leads to conflicts and suffering. This is because of a lack of tolerance and understanding. Having different beliefs and religions makes us stronger as a community and helps us understand and accept each other better.
Yeah, true. You got any questions for me?
Minerva shifted her gaze and regarded you with a thoughtful expression. I suppose I do have one question. She took a moment to think, her eyes studying you.
Sure, what's the question?
Minerva spoke in a tone that was both curious and slightly intrigued. You seem quite interested in the topic of magic, and you've shown great interest in learning about the process of wizardry. I'm curious, what sparked this interest? What made you want to learn about magic?
Yeah, well, because my whole family, they're all witches and wizards, and that's why, actually. And then I kind of liked it, and now I'm always learning more about it.
Minerva nodded as you explained. Her gaze softened slightly, and a hint of understanding appeared in her eyes. Ah, I see. It makes perfect sense now. You have quite a magical heritage in your family. Growing up in such an environment, surrounded by the wonders of magic from a young age, it's only natural that you developed an interest.
Yeah, what about you?
Oh, well, for me it's quite a different story. She chuckled, her gaze becoming a little nostalgic as she reflected. I come from a completely muggle family, no magic at all. It's actually quite rare for a witch or wizard to be born into a non-magical family. But when I was a child, I showed quite a few of the signs of magic. My family was quite surprised, to put it mildly.
Really? I didn't know that about you. I thought it was, full blood.
Minerva laughed lightly at your surprise. Her expression became a bit nostalgic as she looked into the past. Yes, quite a surprise it was. My parents had absolutely no idea what to do with me when they found out about my magic. They didn't know anything about the world of witches and wizards. It was a completely foreign world to them.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything because you're the greatest witch of all time. And I know Hermione, she's also great, so yeah.
Minerva let out a soft chuckle, her expression turning a bit warmer at your comment. Oh, I'm not sure about the greatest witch of all time part, but I'm grateful for your kind words. I've simply tried my best to learn and use magic to the best of my abilities. And as for Hermione, well, she's a force to be reckoned with. A brilliant witch, if I must say so myself.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Minerva nodded in agreement, a small smile playing on her lips. Indeed, she is. Clever, determined, and has a thirst for knowledge that rivals nearly anyone. If it wasn't for her, I think Harry would be in a world of trouble on more than one occasion.
Yeah, I agree. She helped a lot.
Minerva chuckled softly, and a hint of affectionate pride crossed her features. Oh, more than a lot, I'd say. There were times when even I had to rely on Hermione's brilliance and knowledge to solve some of the most complicated problems.
Yeah, I agree. She even helped out when she was paralyzed. You know, the notes.
Minerva nodded. Her expression became a little more solemn as she remembered the difficult situation you were referring to. The memory was clearly not pleasant for her. Ah, the whole incident with the basilisk venom. Indeed, it was a dark time, a dangerous moment. I remember that Hermione had a fundamental role in making the note that contained the crucial information. She was the only one who had the clear mind to see the solution.
Yeah, without her, it was over.
Minerva nodded solemnly. Her expression and tone became quite serious as she echoed your words. You're absolutely correct. Without her, we would have been lost. Her knowledge and quick thinking were decisive at that moment. We were all lucky to have her on our side.
Yeah, we do.
Minerva smiled, her tone becoming a bit lighter, but her expression still held a note of gravity. Indeed we do. Hermione is an incredibly valuable member of the wizarding world. Her intelligence and resourcefulness are assets that cannot be underestimated, and her loyalty is unwavering, which is an admirable trait, if I say so myself.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do later? You got any plans?
Minerva thought for a moment, tilting her head slightly to the side as she considered your question. Well, I was planning to finish some of the paperwork I've been neglecting. I've got a few essays to grade and some letters to write, and then perhaps have a cup of tea and read a bit before bed. A rather quiet evening, I'm afraid.
Yeah, quiet is good sometimes.
Minerva nodded, her expression reflecting a hint of agreement. Her voice carried a touch of tiredness, but it still held its usual warmth. Indeed, it is. I love a bit of peace and quiet every now and then. It helps to clear my thoughts and unwind after a day of teaching stubborn students.
If you have any advice you can give to the world, what would it be?
For a moment, Minerva pondered your question, her gaze thoughtful. I think if I could give one piece of advice to the world, it would be to have patience and understanding. Patience to listen and understand other people's perspectives before making judgments, and the understanding to respect and accept differences, even in those who we see as our enemies. The world is a complex place, and true harmony can only be achieved through these qualities.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really appreciate your words, kindness, and wisdom.
Minerva smiled warmly, and a slight flush graced her cheeks at your compliment. Her eyes sparkled with a hint of pride, touched by your appreciation. Thank you, truly. Those words mean a lot coming from you. I'm glad to have been of some help and guidance. I've learnt a lot over the years, and I'm always happy to share my wisdom.
Yeah, I need to go, but I wish you the best and hope you're in a good place with good things, positive vibes, and yeah, you're great, amazing teacher, amazing witch.
Minerva's expression softened into a warm smile. Her gaze held a hint of affection and gratitude. To hear such kind words from you clearly meant a lot to her. Thank you, my dear, you're too kind. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I wish you the very best as well. Keep up your thirst for knowledge and your curiosity. They're admirable traits, and they'll serve you well. Take care.